And welcome to Insure Your Health. My name is Erin Ackenheil, and I own Blackpoint Insurance. At Blackpoint, we help Medicare beneficiaries learn about the A, B, C's, and D's of Medicare, and we help agents and brokers nationwide learn to launch, grow, and retain their businesses. Through that process, we meet some amazing individuals, subject matter experts in areas that are important to our clientele. We meet carrier partners, and we meet a lot of people who are doing great things and giving back to their community. Today, we want to feature one of our subject matter experts here on Insure Your Health. My guest today is a serious treat. His name is Eric Imbuelten. He owns his own business, A.E.I. Financial, and he brings a huge amount of wealth management experience to our show today. He actually helps people who are planning for retirement learn what they need to do and what steps are going to make the most sense as they build their wealth over time. And today, I'm very excited for Eric to come onto the show, and he's going to feature a segment today with me on annuities. What are they? How they work? Who's the best candidate for these types of services? So I'm super excited to bring from backstage, welcome Eric. Welcome to the show.
Hi there.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
So glad to have you on, Eric. And people are constantly asking me questions, just should I do annuities? Should I do reverse mortgage? Like all different kinds of questions. And my expertise is in the Medicare space. But of course, people are choosing Medicare, figuring out Social Security, and building their wealth management plan kind of at the same time. And so I think the expertise that you bring is super relevant to my audience and can help us all grow and learn a bit more. So really excited to have you on today. So thank you so much. Now, Eric, tell me a little bit about your background. How do you become a wealth management expert? What's your expertise? How does it all work?
So, my background really started with taxes, 27 years ago, or even more than that, actually, about 30 years ago. I started
dating yourself, Eric.
What's that?
You're dating yourself.
Yeah, I started when I was 12.
Exactly. I figured as much.
But anyway, so I got started with taxes after I got my MBA from Cal State Hayward. And then the MBA in finance led me into tax. I also worked corporate jobs in corporate America, but I always started my side hustle or side gig called income tax preparation and a little bit of bookkeeping at the beginning. And that's how I got started in my own business. And then back around the mid 90s, I decided, I don't want to just do tax. Tax alone just doesn't excite me enough to do it year round.
Right.
So I'd really like to expand and do some financial services, and financial planning really piqued my interest. So I went to UC Berkeley and studied financial planning there and got my certificate there.
Wow, that's incredible. So tell me a little bit about what a PFP certificate is, like what do you have to do, and what qualifies you to have all this great knowledge that you're going to share with my audience here?
Right. So basically the PFP is personal financial planner designation, and it starts with basically a lot of the people there start out in the banking world or, some other financial service industry.
Yeah, sort of the lingo down before you get there. And then
yeah, so you kind of understand what financing and what all that stuff is and does. And so a lot of my colleagues in the classes were either bankers or mortgage reps, or some of them were life insurance agents. And they just wanted to fill out and do more and really complete, be a more of a resource to everybody they work with, right? And do comprehensive planning of one type or another.
Makes a lot of sense.
And so that's what I did. And it took, I had to do it basically night school because, they didn't really have.
Adult education is so fun.
Yeah, you got to do it when you can. You got to work during the day to pay for it. So,
right.
So I didn't quit the day job, but I kept doing that. And in 1999, I graduated and got my certificate. So
congratulations. And you've been building a successful business ever since, which is amazing. So, thanks for sharing all of that. And I think when I think of some of the topics that come up all the time for me that I really just don't understand, and I think put this at a level that's elementary for me, Eric, what is it that makes an annuity special? What's it all about? How do they work?
Sure, absolutely. So, annuities, the definition really from Investopedia is it's an insurance contract issued and distributed by financial institutions with the intention of paying out invested funds in a fixed income stream in the future. So that would be what it really does at the end of the
Cliff
day.
Notes versions. What does that mean?
So what it really means is, you give a sum of money to the insurance company and
Mhm.
it accumulates the money for you over a period of time. And then at a time
So
you
give
determine,
me a mathematical example, Eric. So let's say I've got $100,000, right? So, and I decide I want to put that into annuity. So I say, Eric, help me out, set this up. What would happen? Like how would that look?
yeah, so we would first want to look at, what kind of annuity result do you want? Do you need it for income or do you need it for accumulation? So that's the first why in the road is really to look at,
Okay, so take me one way down the why. So say I need it for income, right? Because I'm afraid I'm going to run out of money, right? So the
right,
whole idea of annuities is to make sure that I have income ongoing, right? And so
right.
let's hit the why in the road and say we're going the income path. I've got $100,000 and I want it to last. Where does
Yes.
that take me?
That's a perfect question because that's the favorite type is really to look at income because that's what people really need when they retire, right? I mean, they may not have a pension from work. Um,
Most of
this
us
is a
don't.
private,
Yeah.
this is the private pension. This is the pension you create yourself with your own money. And it works just like Social Security, which is also a pension, by the way. You've paid into Social Security for 30 or 40 years, then you retire, and what do? They pay you monthly till you die.
Right.
That's essentially what it is. So the same process. Once you put in, say, your 100,000, we determine which product is going to give you the best income, and determine how many years you want to wait until you start that income.
Right.
So if
So
you have,
I'm 53, true confessions. I give you 100,000 today and I want to work till 65, right? So that means I'm not going to take anything out until then. What
right.
happens?
So you've got 12 years. So we look at, possibly a 10-year product that has a good, really high, strong income.
Mhm.
And how they determine that is when you determine, your age at retirement and when you need that money, they have a factor. It's called a payout factor, and they figure out, let's say it's at 65, it's going to be 4%. Well, when you reach that age, they're going to pay out 4% of whatever sum total is in the annuity at that time.
Got it.
Those
So
12
the
years
money
is grown.
accrues and then I release 4% of that on an annual basis or something like this. Is that kind of
That's
how it
right.
works?
And the way it grows can be done really well with an indexing. So what they do with that, and I mean, that's like a topic in itself, but indexing allows it to grow without ever losing value.
Ah.
And that's a really big plus because, and it's
So what's the concept of indexing? What does that mean?
sure. So indexing is really not investing in the market, but it's getting the returns of the market up to a certain cap.
Ah. Ah.
So if you take the S&P 500 index, which is, 70% of our economy, that can go up, let's say in the last year, it went up 20%,
Oh,
right?
wow. So that could really grow your money.
Yeah, but there's a cap. So you can't get the full 20%. You get maybe the cap is at, say, 8%.
Right.
But you get that 8%
And you're also protected from losing too
and you
much.
have a floor of zero. So if the market suddenly tumbles next year and drops 20%, you lose not a penny,
Wow.
which
That's
is really,
incredible. I love it. That's a really cool concept. I was just thinking, I was just putting myself in the shoes of an annuity, buying an annuity, and I do this, and God forbid, like something, what if something happens to me? Like, what if I pass away before I'm getting my release? Can I will the money left in the annuity to someone? How does that work?
very good question. So that's a full estate program. Once you have the annuity, the contract has in it, who your beneficiaries are. So if you were to pass away prematurely, it goes directly to those beneficiaries, your husband, your kids, your grandkids, whoever you determine.
Wow. Okay. That sounds like it would be good. If it goes to a spouse, they continue to just get the 4%, or do they have to take a cash out?
They can continue, yeah, they can do the income stream as well. Let's say your spouse is, a couple of years younger or a couple of years older, it doesn't really matter. They can determine when they want to take that out in a stream. Let's say at age of death, they decide, okay, I want the income stream to go for my lifetime. Great.
Right.
That's fine. The company just has to discuss with them when they want to turn the income on.
Got it. So it's kind of, instead of just taking it as a direct payout, they can just sort of transfer ownership and continue it going. So that's kind of a cool idea. I like that.
Yeah.
Who do you think are your ideal buyers for annuities, right? I mean, is it for everybody as part of their financial plan, or is there a specific target market, like who it makes most sense for?
Yeah, I would say, there's pre-retirees are perfect for it. Age-wise, it can be sold to anybody from age, sometimes even below 18 all the way up to age 90. It's really, problem is most 18-year-olds don't have the money or think they'll ever die, so they won't get one. But
Right.
Or they won't, they don't want to tie up their money that
I don't
long.
see the value in that at that
Right.
point, which makes
Right.
sense. I can see that for sure. So I have to tell you, so steer me in the direction, we went down the path of, okay, I want an annuity and I want an income stream. What's the alternate path that people get annuities for? You said there's two, kind of the why, right?
Yeah.
What's the other end of
So
the
the
why?
other one would be accumulation. So yeah, you get somebody, for example, who just feels like, the market is overvalued maybe, and a lot of people feel that way right now. And as a registered investment advisor, I can help them on that side if they want to be more on the equity side and invested in the market. But some people feel like, oh, maybe they get scared and they feel like, oh, I want to take some of the money out of the market. Then
So
we
they take
can,
it out, and then it just, do those same factors apply? Like you can get the 8%, but the floor of 0. So it just gets
yes, you
reinvested.
can still do that. Yeah. And you can, and depending on how it works out, you can also change allocations every year. So you can look at maybe
Reinvest the
altering
earnings.
it a little bit. Instead of S&P, maybe you want to use another index, you can do that. And I have those conversations with my clients every year.
Wow. So who's the best candidate for that type of, it's somebody who doesn't really require the income stream. It's more like they're just trying to diversify and make sure that they've got a broader portfolio within their umbrella.
Generally, I call it the green money, safe money. So portion of their portfolio has got to be safe, right?
Right.
And so that's where we look at, let's put a portion, whether that's 30% or whatever, you don't want to ever lose, right? And as we get older, typically that percentage goes up.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm here to tell you about a health plan called Aetna. Aetna is a health plan built on solid ground with over 170 years of experience helping people with their healthcare choices. Aetna offers Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplement, and Part D prescription drug plans across multiple counties across the country. Aetna is known for their innovative product designs, especially on their medical plans, including things like vision, dental, hearing, and more. It might be time to consider Aetna for your healthcare coverage. For more information on Aetna Medicare plans, please visit their website at aetnamedicare.com or contact your local agent. Thank you. I want to pause there for a second. For people out there who are loving this conversation, give us a like. I also want to point out that if you wanted to reach Eric directly, a really good way to do that is to actually just email him directly at info@aeifinancialgroup.com. It's great to just reach out, and he can set up a consultation for you. So, Eric, question for you. Let's say my clients email this email address right here, info@aeifinancialgroup.com. What happens next? They say, hey, Eric, I'm looking for some support on wealth management. What's your process for intake?
Right. Good question. So there I would basically typically do a quick 20-minute meeting is the best I can usually do, is a complimentary 20-minute meeting. And it's a little quality control check, really. And it's called the Viewpoint Questionnaire. And we go through that session together, either in person. In person is best, but sometimes I have to do them on Zoom, which is fine as well. But that little process will open up exactly, where the priority
And
areas
what do you
are.
call it? It's a pinpoint?
It's called the financial viewpoint.
Well, I was close.
Yeah,
Financial viewpoint. Okay, got it. Got it. So, and that really gives you, so it's like it's sort of a free intake at first to see if it's a good candidate for you to work with, like what kinds of things you think might work, and a really sort of no cost, no obligation way to get an idea of what people might want to do. So I love that. Also, if they want to get more information about the services that you offer, would you recommend they go to the website?
absolutely. Yeah, the website has a little bit of everything in there. And also, there's a place where you can click call now or message now or book now. And we
Perfect.
can set it up directly through there. So you don't even have to make the phone call. And
Fantastic.
I get the email and then I can follow up with that and send you the Calendly invite as well.
Sounds good. So, for everybody listening on the podcast, Eric's website is www.aeifinancialgroup.com. You can go there to get more information or email Eric directly at info@aeifinancialgroup.com. So, throw us a like. Eric is doing a great job showing us a little bit about annuities. Eric, I wonder, I'm curious, like, what do you think? Like, if you were just looking at someone, I mean, a lot of people you're sitting here in their 50s and they're thinking, like, oh, I've still got some good working years in. If you were to tell us the one, two, three of what you think a good financial plan looks like, what would you share with us?
Right. So one thing I would say is, have consider, having at least one annuity just to cover your base expenses in retirement. Most people just don't have pensions. Those were our parents might have had those, right? And so people in our 50s, we really have to look at, protecting ourselves for income.
Right.
And the other thing would be, consider long-term care insurance while you're still young enough and healthy enough to get it, because that is going to be seriously used by about 70% of the people.
Do you offer long-term care through your business, Eric?
Yes, I do.
Fantastic. So definitely anybody out there, long-term care is definitely something you need to get well before you need it. And working with clients like I do, who are Medicare beneficiaries, I come across this all the time where people haven't necessarily made a plan and then they get into a situation that's costly or they don't have the support they need. So really great to incorporate that as part of your financial mix. I couldn't agree more. So that's really great advice, Eric. So tell me a little bit, if you were to give kind of looking back at your younger self, right? Because you've been in this 1999, I think you said you got your certification. And if you were to go back and just say, what's like some advice that I would give to my younger self starting out? What would you say to people out there if they wanted to be a financial planner, if they were just a guy in their 20s, like getting their certification and doing this, or in their teens, or in their less than 10 years? What would you recommend that they would do if you could give them a bit of advice?
Well, I would, as far as protecting themselves, for not so much career advice, but just, looking at the long term, I would say be a saver, try to get used to being a saver as soon as you can. Because, we didn't have a lot of inflation until just the last few years, but we may be seeing inflation for a long time. I mean, more than we're used to, like, say, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When inflation was really low, it was, like, I don't know, was maybe a couple percent. And in the last few years, we've experienced up to 9%, right?
Right.
So,
I'm feeling it. I can tell you
yeah,
that, right? So everything's
everybody's feeling it every which way, right? So I think that's become a saver. And then, also don't be a do-it-yourselfer when it comes to investing. Get solid investment advice from a fee-only investment advisor or somebody that is qualified to give you advice.
right. Trusted advisor. And I like personally the idea of fees versus, just or paying one time or flat fees versus everything on an
Yeah,
investment trade situation, just because, then you're getting the consultation and the whole picture. It's not so transactional. And
right.
that feels better.
Yes,
I
it
think
does
that's good
compared.
advice.
Yeah, compared to dealing with a stock brokerage firm where they're just trying to make trades and, it's not looking at the big picture and trying to give you a more consultative approach.
Right. And I know, in knowing you, Eric, I mean, just kind of tell us all the different things you do in the planning, right? So obviously you do annuities, you do wealth management, you do long-term care. What else rounds out the portfolio? I know you do some Medicare like me.
Medicare, yeah.
What else do you do out there in terms of the whole package?
The annuities are a big part, a little bit of life insurance as well sometimes, for legacy planning, estate planning. I help people set up their living trusts through a firm that has attorneys. I'm not an attorney, but through a team of attorneys, they do it. And the nice thing about that is you don't have to go visit an attorney. It can be done from your own computer. And so I help people get those set up.
It's amazing. So you really kind of take all the spokes of the wheel and take care of the whole person, which is fantastic. So,
yeah, as much as I can,
That sounds good. So Eric, we talked a lot about going to your website, which is AEIfinancialgroup.com, or emailing you at info@AEIfinancialgroup.com. But for those who are listening who are old school, where can they reach you by phone?
Right there at 707-538-8027.
707-538-8027. And where are you located, Eric?
I'm located in Santa Rosa.
Santa Rosa, so Sonoma County. And are you a California native?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, born and raised here. Always worked here, with the exception of very short period of time, 6 months in Colorado.
Little jaunt for a minute, and then you were back. I gotcha. Yeah. I gotcha. So, well, we're so glad to have you here, Eric, and the support you provide is phenomenal. And I love the whole approach that you're bringing people in, do an intake, see if they're a good candidate, help them figure it out and map it, and just really a good partner for people who need your services. So everybody out there, please visit Eric's website, AEIfinancialgroup.com, and get more information. If you have questions, you can ask them directly in the comment section. I'll be sure to make sure Eric sees all those and he can answer all those, and he's amazing. So Eric, tell me, like, aside from all of this, right? It sounds like pretty busy. What do you do in your free time for fun? What do you like to do?
Good question. Yeah, so I do, work out at the gym. I bike ride a little bit. I like to hike and golf occasionally, those kinds of things. So camping is another one, but I don't go very often, but I do like to camp as well.
You had me till you got to the camping, Eric. You had
right.
me.
Yeah. Most women do not like the camping.
Well, for everybody out there, I mean, Eric he models what he preaches here. So healthy lifestyle, well-rounded, planning for the future, planning for your good health, planning for your financial health. Eric, thanks for everything that you do. And thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much, Erin. I appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
Welcome anytime. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you. Bye now.